belong only to a woman and their doctor. And finally, for the feedback that we got from last year's election, we always have run on a campaign that it's going to fight for everyone who lives in that district. And that means having an economy that works for everyone, not only the privileged. And that includes increasing taxes to the wealthy, and that it's something that we have campaigned for many years, and it's something that is resonating very well with voters, as this administration is empowering unelected officials to make decisions for instead of Congress. So, we are already knocking on doors, and we are raising money as well due to our proximity to Washington, D.C. The communication program is going to be very expensive. We need to raise $2.25 million. And I'm here to thank for those who donated to our campaign. I wanted to thank you. We are facing a fundraising deadline on June 5th. And during the first fundraising cycle, we outraised our Republican opponent 6-1. And I'm making calls every day to continue on that pace. And we are probably the campaign that has the most endorsements than any other candidate for the House of Delegates. But I'm thankful for the support that we are having so far. Early voting is happening, and we are going to be at the polls on election day to share our message to voters, to let them know, to invite them to come back in November, that there is an important election. You probably heard before that this is the most important election of our lifetimes, but this one really is, because we could make history this November by electing the first female governor of the Commonwealth. We need to have an additional vote in the Senate by electing a Democratic lieutenant governor. And we do need a strong attorney general who's going to defend our constitutional rights from this administration. But at the same time, we need a trifecta. So we need to protect and expand the majority in the House of Delegates. And there's an opportunity close to you. So I'm here to invite you to participate and join our campaign. We're knocking on doors every day. At this point, we have so many doors to knock and engage in conversations. We're not taking anything for granted. We're going to work really. So thank you so much for having us today. My staff is here with us today, and he's going to share a link to our webpage, a link for opportunities to volunteer. And if you have any money to spare, we will be happy to get it as well. We are the Grassroots Campaign. We're proud to announce that during the first fundraising cycle, we received more than 2,000 unique, average contribution being $35. So nothing is too small, nothing is too big. We will be happy to get your support. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm sorry, Miles, just before I let you say something, I just want to say something that I want everybody to be aware. Back in 2016, Elizabeth Guzman was the first Latina that it was ready to put and set up the sample in Virginia about how women can really make things happen and have the power to change history. She was the first Latina that answered to the State of the Union when Trump first term gave his speech. She was incredible. She was invited by Nancy Pelosi, but the work that she did went like over the roof and in history. Let's not forget that we as a women, as a Latinos, can set up not the milestone, but really the change in the lives of all Virginians so we can make the difference. So thank you for running again, and we're so happy to have you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Sorry, Miles, you have the mic.
Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, no, definitely echo all of that. Very excited to be on board Team Guzman here. And yeah, just want to share a few opportunities that are coming up. We actually have a few events coming up this weekend. So I'll send links to those in case any of y'all are available. But the main ask here is just to get folks out to knock on doors. I know Elizabeth's been on the doors every week, almost every day at this point. Our staff is out there, rain or shine, talking to voters, and we're hearing a lot of encouraging things. So if you have the time, I would love to have some of you out there as well. Or if door knocking's not your thing, we have opportunities to phone bank or write postcards and stuff like that as well. So I'll put all that information in the chat, and thank you all for your time.
Anybody has any questions for Elizabeth before she leaves?
Yeah, Elizabeth, I got your message. I'm donating. Love you.
Gracias, Cesar. I love you too.
They
Appreciate
didn't
it.
even have to call. You know
I'm
donating.
sorry. I heard you're gonna be the keynote speaker for this meeting, and I wish I could stay, but I
Okay.
had to go to another meeting. And
Oh.
thank you for your support, and thank everyone else for having me. I truly appreciate it.
We just have one question, I believe, and it's from Bob.
Sure.
Bob, Bob, you can have the mic.
Did I ask for the mic?
Go for it.
I didn't know that I asked for it. But
Oh.
hey, I'm with you, Elizabeth.
Thank you,
Glad
Bob.
to see you're back in it.
Appreciate it.
We need strong voices. And we've got to appeal to the Latinas and Latinos that were perhaps misguided during the last presidential election.
Absolutely, and I think a few of us were in a meeting looking at the data just to see exactly what happened. And I'm sure that Cesar, Maritza, or Carla could add to this. But the reality is that 75% of Latinas voted for Kamala Harris, where Donald Trump gained points was with Latinos, male, but it was 5 points. But overall, more Latinos voted for Kamala Harris than for Donald Trump. And everywhere we go, as we wanted to get the record straight, because we don't want, number one, I don't think that at this point it's not anyone to blame other than ensuring that we have a message that is inclusive of everyone's needs. And we cannot lose the battle of communication. We need to ensure that we have a position for every issue, and then we talk to every voter, and that includes Latinos. And of course, as the Latina who is on the ballot, I'll make it intentional. In my district, we have, according to the census, 14% of Latinos reside in this district. But as we are knocking on doors, there are certain neighborhoods where we see more. But when we talk to them, so far, I think in all of the ones that I have spoken, they have been Democrats, with the exception of one Republican, which was a male, but actually was not looking for him. I was looking for his wife, who is a Democrat. But he was telling me that they're all Republicans. But, I still had very good conversations with him about public education. And I also brought up to his attention how Republicans for years have been trying to defund the Department of Education. This is not just unique to Trump. This is something that they have been doing throughout the years. And he was happy, with the answers. He actually said that I was the first Democrat that didn't walk away after he said he was a Republican. And that's exactly what we wanted to continue to do as we are knocking on doors. We want to have conversations. We wanted to have conversations about the issues more than, more than what party do I represent. I'm running to represent them, and that's a priority. Thank you for the question.
I don't want to be misunderstood. It's not that I can't understand why anybody voted for Trump. Okay, so 70% leaves 30% that were whatever. But no, it's head scratching to me. So don't get me wrong. I appreciate the support of the Latino community in the democratic process, but it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, we're not gonna take anything for granted. So as a Latina, I cannot assume that Latinos will come out and vote if I don't ask them to participate. And that's something that we are being intentional about. We wanted to speak with them. We wanna, invite them to participate in that process. We are talking to some of them that are only presidential voters. So we are explaining to them what it's dealt at the state legislature and the importance of their participation. But I appreciate your question.
One thing I do want to know is what was the participation level? I mean, 70% of those voted for Harris, but what was the participation level?
These are numbers nationwide. So I'm not sure if Carla maybe has that information, how many Latinos participated across the nation as far as those who are registered to vote, right? Is that your question? How many of those registered to vote participated? I don't have that data, but Carla is here. I'm not sure. Maybe she can get back to us, or if we can find that information, we can share that information with Marisa to share with you.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I don't have
I can later. Sure. I don't have it right at the top of my head, but I agree with you, Elizabeth, and sorry to just barge in. We cannot take the Latino vote for granted. And a lot of it is what you're doing as a leader. You're showing always showing up for the community. So you've gained that trust. And I think that's why you've been so successful, right? So I just wanted to point out, I particularly now chairing D-Love, I like to say it every time I can. I got involved in Virginia politics because you made an ask directly to me when you met me at a national event. So
Yeah.
and that's it. Like you having that vision and showing up for your folks and connecting us. You have great conversations at the doors and in events, regardless whether people have voted Democrat or not. So if we start doing that as a party, because it seems like we just keep on playing internal politics and feeding the base, like our loyalists, registered Democrats, what they want to hear, and we're still very out of tune with the realities of working class Virginians that don't have good sound bites. It's really addressing the issues and how they affect their day to day. And you do that. And your policy record when you were a delegate shown that. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. But we'll get that information for you, Bob, because that's a good point. We need to know the level of participation.
Bob, I'm gonna share. There's a Latinos USA study on this. Latinos USA.
Thank you.
Okay, Elizabeth, anything else you need to let us know? I don't want to keep you.
No, if you are, we are very close. You know, wherever you are in Fairfax, we're probably 35 minutes away. So if you have time and would like to join us in the evenings or on the weekends, we would love to have you. And if knocking on doors is not your thing, you want to make phone calls instead, we are phone banking as well, because this is the district that includes the rural part of Prince William County. So we are making a lot of phone calls. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We hope to see you soon.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. So now we're going to pass for our introduction. So I'm going to ask people to unmute. We're going to do a quick introduction, just name and where are you visiting us from. But I'm going to start with Carla. So because she's one of our guests tonight too. So Carla, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. You're mute?
Yes, I could not find the thing on my, sorry. Really quick, because I want to hear from Councilman Del Aguila and everyone else. My name is Carla Bustillos. I'm currently the president of the Democratic Latino Organization of Virginia, which is the official caucus. Thank you all, because I wouldn't have gotten here without Maritza, Marta, Cesar, everyone on this call supporting me to take this role and execute this role, right? Because it's not just being elected to it, it's how we get the work done. The D-Love is the official caucus, Latino caucus for the Democratic Party of Virginia. And we reorged in January, and we're now into our 5th month as a new board. And our first quarter was very special, making that this focus groups, Bob, analyzing the Latino voting trend in the last elections, but also what our community wants to hear and what engages our community. Quarter 2, we've been focused on planning our summer outreach program, which everyone's invited to. We're going to show up to Latino festivals and have these conversations directly where the community is. And explain to them the importance of the elections this year, but also like what Democratic leaders have to offer. Parallel to that, we are presenting our endorsement process, and endorsing candidates that comes along with us having a 101 with each candidate on how to engage the Latino community and create an effective Latino program. And that is based on the findings from the focus groups, which have been predominantly in Northern Virginia and Richmond, but we've also had one, a smaller one with Unidos USA and Virginia Beach. So just so that you know that that's where we are. We're also hosting, we kicked off yesterday, monthly calls between local Latino caucuses for all of us to learn from each other's best practices and how to best engage our community and do that, facilitate that relationship between the Latino community and the Democratic Party leaders and their Latino constituents. So that is where we are. Everyone's welcome to join D-Love. It's not just for Latinos, it's for those who have the best interest of the Latino community at hand.
Thank you, Magda. Thank you. Okay, Sonia, can you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please, and tell us where you came from? You're muted.
Hi, yeah, sorry about that. So I'm in Loudoun County. I just became the new chair of the Latino Caucus, finally. I've been screaming and crying for like 10 years. So I'm in Loudoun County, but thank you very much for inviting me to your meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lenita, can you please introduce yourself? Okay, I'm gonna jump into Russell. Are you there, Russell? Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I am. I'm here. Hi, Russell Brooks. I'm a Franconia Democrat. I'm also a member of the Black Caucus. I'm a member of the 8th Congressional District Committee. I like to consider myself an ally of the Latino community. And if I'm going to be a good ally, I want to listen and learn as much as I can about the issues that concern you, that concern us. And I am very much an advocate for there to be coalitions between the various minority groups so we can increase our influence both in the state Democratic Party, but in the Democratic Party nationally. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Russell. Jose, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, Maritza. I'm Jose Peralta. I live in the Sully district. I was also just recently appointed by Kathy Smith as the Sully district board member to the Fairfax County Park Authority. Oh. So while I have the microphone, just a quick reminder to everybody on the line, the Park Authority is doing a needs assessment, and I'll put information on the chat for where that can be filled out, but it'd be great to get feedback from everybody here on the line to the Park Authority. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. That's wonderful news. Thank you.
Thank you, Maritza.
And Maria, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everybody. I'm Maria Villarreal. Thank you to Maritza for always reminding me about the meetings. I have a little 8-month-old that you guys saw me walking around with. So life is a little challenging with the little one, but happy again that you remind me of these meetings so that I can join and, help out in whatever way that I can at the moment. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for coming. Karina, are you there? Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Karina Boudreau. I live here in Mount Vernon, just a few doors away from Maritza. And I just want to do anything I can in my power to support the Latino community. So that's it.
Thank you so much for coming. Lila, can you introduce yourself? Okay, we're gonna jump.
Here I am. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
No.
Hi everybody. My name is Lilia Machado. I was invited by Karina. I am an attorney in Virginia and I also live here in Mount Vernon community. I'm just looking forward to see how I can help, the Latino community, which I am part of. So happy to be here and happy to join you guys.
Thank you so much. Lionel, you're muted. You're muted. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I'm very happy to see new names and some guests. that like especially want to greet Russell, who has been very kind and very helpful with me in my work in Franconia. My role in the Latino Caucus is essentially in social media. That's the role that I do. We are trying to do an active presence in social media, and I have been preparing for this. I recently took a course when our consultant and political analyst was telling us that unfortunately the Democratic Party in general had not been very active and had not been taking good use of the social media. And one area, for example, in which we have failed systematically is to use texting to promote our activities and to promote voting. So it's an area in which I'm very active and looking for ways to really make use of the texting and other media to try to promote and engage and re-engage voters that didn't vote in the last election.
Thank you so much, Lionel. Bob, can you give us your name, introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Bob. I do buttons. I'm here to help.
And you're visiting from where?
I've been real busy just doing banner drops and protests at Tesla Takedown, Tesla Tuesdays, going downtown. And anybody that wants to join me for a banner drop on June 14th in Springfield at the Walkover Bridge, I'd love to have your names. Give me a call. I'll put my email. I'll put my email in the chat. But there's just so much stuff going on right now, and it's hard to keep up. But I'll do what I can.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Did you want me to talk? Okay, hi, I'm Antonia Fazik. I am Bob's other half, and I go with him to the Tesla takedowns and some of the other stuff as well. I am an ally, although I did grow up in a home with many immigrants. They were Italian, however. But I feel that I am paying it forward by being an ally to the current set of immigrants and it's something dear that I feel in my heart. And that's it. I'm also kind of shy. So good to see everyone here tonight, actually.
Maritza, you're muted.
Marta, please. You're muted. I was muted. Now you're muted.
Marta Calderon. We keep going up. I'm Marta Calderon, and I am the secretary of the Latino Caucus, and also a member of the Franconia District Committee. In the district committee in Franconia, I handle the social media accounts, and we have been very successful growing our accounts. So I'm very pleased about that. I'm also working with the chair at this point. She's traveling, so I am the default backup while she's out helping in whatever the rest of their leadership needs. So that's basically it about me.
Thank you so much, Martha. So it was a very nice introduction. Thank you, everybody. We have a critical election this year, and we have got to elect a Democratic governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. We have to keep the majority in the legislature. We need to keep working to get Virginia back on the right track. And Trump is creating fear and confusion with his mass deportation and is picking up people who have committed no crime. The greatest irony in American history is that Trump was convicted of 34 felonies by a jury of his peers after he was given due process, but he's denying the due process to immigrants. Remember, the Fifth Amendment says that no person shall be deprived of the life, liberty, or property without due process of law. It says no person, no citizen. Remember that today, as January 20, and contrary to the law, there is virtually no way to access the U.S. asylum system at the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, I'm just going to attack our next guest speaker. Cesar del Aguila comes from a large Latino Catholic family, 51 cousins, and he's serving his fourth term on the Herton Town Council. He's a certified reserve deputy sheriff and was chair of the Fairfax County Democratic Committee from 2012 to 2014. I will never forget the time that he was fighting and people was against him because he said that it was not right that the Department of Elections was not raising the wages for the people that were working on the election officers. And thanks to him, we got a raise after more than 10 years. And seems like people forget about that. But you have really, when you do something, you really change the needle for history. And you, Cesar, you did that. And I will never forget. And I will bring it up every time I see you. So please give a big round of applause to Cesar del Aguila that he's visiting today. And let's hear from him. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Maritza. And thank you, everyone. Quite frankly, I am always involved as much as I can for the good causes. And I think where we are today is really a reflection on what's been going on. I heard a lot of issues in terms of why Latinos are moving away from the party. And if I can I share I got a couple slides here I'd love to share with the group here. Just if I can share. Okay, share my
Almost
screen.
there.
Can you see my screen? Let me know. You can see it? Okay. So I think when I think about what is going on there, I don't think Democrats within the party understand what is happening. And I challenge you to find the Democrats in this picture, right? And can you all see the cartoon that I picked? That's kind of the Democratic mentality, the institutional mentality. We tend to ask questions that are so anti, cerebral in our sense. We know what's going on, but we're slow to react to make a change and force the issue. So I think for me, these are the top things I think we can do, not only as a party, but folks that support Latino values. I think we need to really accept the fact that this is a bloodless fight, a serious war of ideas. And we need to conduct ourselves that we are in a fight for our voices to be heard and representation to come forward that align with our values. And I think they're American values, quite frankly. It's just, we want opportunity. But the way we do that is everyone here is convinced, everyone here, I'm preaching to the choir, we need to get more people to join the party. We need to get a lot more people to fight and push those causes. Everyone here is doing all they can. My challenge and ask is go find someone else to join the committee, to recruit Latinos to join all these other committees. guess what? When there's an opening for an elected office, guess where those electeds come from? They come from the party, the people that have been in the party. And if you haven't figured it out, the reason why there isn't a lot of Latino representation in these offices is because they reflect the party. Fairfax County is majority minority immigrant. Herndon, we're almost 70% majority minority immigrant. But the council, the leadership, the police, all those leadership do not reflect the community. And that's because people, from the party perspective, we need to start recruiting people to get into positions to run for these offices. And I'll say this one thing. When you find the people that are going to remind them to start small, don't run statewide, don't run countywide. That generally ends in failure. And why? Because there are a lot of nonpartisan opportunities out there that people can start small. I did a quick list. These are all the nonpartisan races that people can jump into to get a start on their political aspirations, or if they want to make it a career, that's fine. But all of these seats are open to anyone that wants to run. Let's recruit people. Let's have them run for office. And these are manageable elections. The challenge is when someone jumps in at a statewide race or a countywide race that's never run for anything. That is a challenge, and it typically requires a lot of money. And by the way, I have a picture here and a video that I'd like to play for you. This was the DNC chair, Ken Martin, talking about this very issue that I've been fighting for. And I hope you can hear this.
Hey, we got to make sure we're contesting every race up and down the ballot. There's no such thing as nonpartisan races anymore. Every race has been politicized. At the end of the day, we got to fight for every seat in this country because every voter matters, every community matters.
Love you, brother. Love you.
So what Ken was saying is, across the country, Democrats have traditionally stayed away from the nonpartisan world. But that's where the Republicans have been outflanking us. They're taking control of not just school boards, but municipalities, and passing things that impact the emerging population, that is minority immigrant. Herndon is a microcosm of this. There's people that want to stay and keep the old in stasis, and there's people that want a voice, a seat at the table. The way we change this, the way we protect ourselves, starting locally, is to get more people into these offices where things are getting passed. And just an example of some of the things that I've been working on. By the way, I'm the only one on council that I know of that's been endorsed by Moms Demand Action for the last 2 election cycles. And this speaks to us. You know, minorities, we're at a higher rate for violent crimes with guns. It's a numbers game. We had a big fight that the previous mayor wanted to allow guns into council chambers where we were deliberating. These are the types of things that impact us at the local level. I'm working on these town rebranding initiatives because the current brand of our town is not inclusive of people. So making Herndon more open, more visibly amenable and inclusive is something we have to change. Safety and security. I've been fighting this fight for a long time. And for the folks that may not know, I will copy this and put it in the chat. And it is something that went out in the news. It's part of the reason I wanted to speak with you all today. We had a police chief deny a Chinese graduate of the police academy inclusion to Herndon. And I'll just challenge you to read that when we're done. I've been fighting this stuff for years. Institutions don't change overnight. They require people to make a difference. There's no reason why English should be a common language or the standard. People can sign their signature in Spanish, Chinese, or happy smiley face if you want. I now got, with a new chief of police, additional resources in her to do foot patrols, bike patrols. That means police are getting out of their cars. They're going to walk the neighborhoods, walk into stores, businesses, talk to people, walking and biking out of the cars, not for the immigrant community that traditionally comes from countries where corruption has been high. So they don't trust police. I'm trying to change that inherited. This is why it's important to elect people that represent our values. The historic district is timed with this affordable housing unit. I'm working on rezoning parcels, identifying affordable housing development projects around the metro, expanding those, taking land owned by the town, dedicating it to retail, mixed use, and affordable housing. This is why this stuff matters, right? It doesn't happen by just trusting other people might do it. That's why, for me, it's important that this group understands we should be doubled in size. Move, new people are here to take their place. So doing the values, again, Latino values are American values. Latino values are immigrant values. Latino values are anyone's values that wants fairness and representation. And that hasn't gotten through to some of the party apparatus. I think it's changing. I think, again, for every race in every part of every state at every level, we traditionally have stayed away from it. But nonpartisan races, there's no such thing. And that is how we grow our bench. It's more available seats. Latinos can certainly run for those. As they move on into these seats, we have more representation. So it's my hope that you'll agree and support and promote these things. We need more people in the party. We need more people at these board meetings. We need more people to be positioned for when seats do become open. We're ready to move into those. So any questions? Thank you for your time.
Well, this is incredible, Cesar. That's awesome. I want to open the mic to everybody that wants to start the conversation about this, because some of you are new into the system as a Democratic Party and maybe interested in possible how will be the first steps to run. But I see that we have Russell, his hand up. He wants a question. So Russell, please.
Sure. Thank you, Cesar. Two things. One, could you be more specific as to the amount of money that a candidate would have to raise to be competitive in a place like Fairfax County, where if you're running for school board or you're running for a county supervisor position, I believe they can be kind of expensive, but you tell me.
I mean, that's, sorry, go ahead.
And the other thing after that is, I think oftentimes our problem is the party assumes it knows what Latinos think or want and not recognize that the diversity within the community, where different people in different areas or different income groups, they may all be Latino, but they may think differently about certain things. Yeah. And what fact sort of bears that out for me is how Democrats lost the border areas in Texas, where the party, I believe, assumed certain viewpoints about the border, and people who live close to the border had very, very different views and went from predominantly Democratic areas to completely Republican areas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. Thank you for your question. And I think the reason I focus on all the different types of elected offices to get into is because it really depends on the individual. Some people are fortunate, they can run for anything statewide. They've got money, they've got the backing, or they can raise money, but a lot of people can't. So I look at it in that bell curve of most people are going to have to raise money, or they're going to have to pay it out of their pocket. They don't have funding sources. So it depends on the race. Like council, city, mayor, it's maybe like 10 to 20 grand to run those. As you move up as the district you're representing, it increases incrementally. So a district supervisor you better have like $250,000 to $500,000 in the bank. Congressional races, start in a mill, right? But delegate, state delegate, you're probably looking at easily $100,000 minimum. Senate, probably double that. That's why I point to all the other ones. The larger the representation, the more you're going to have to spend, right? You're going to have to spend on mailers, canvassers, and just getting your message out there. So it really depends on what seat. That's why I tell people, start small, get your name out there, and that way you're building the base of support as you grow.
So I was just gonna say that, and I'm gonna pass the mic to Carla. I'm just gonna say that when we say the word like run for something, we encourage people to start running in the local district at the local committee, because that's a way to participate and see how you can impact the community where you live. And by being part of our district committee, it will give you the opportunity to socialize, to open doors, to be able to go out and really do something for the community that will give you more experience and how involve more people in the area that you're working on. And that's how I started. And every 2 years, in every reorganization, I will run for something different inside of my committee to be able to understand how some things work and then recruit people so they can run after I will run for something else. That's how I started, and that's my recommendation. But Carla, please have the mic.
You're muted.
Sorry, guys. I'm having I wanted to ask, what would you consider, Cesar, is the split to make a successful candidate between what I'm hearing from you, between like the fundraising power that you need, the name recognition within the party, and the expertise, right? Or are those the three variables you're counting into, or like, did you add something else?
No, that's
and the
pretty
name
much it.
recognition, do you mean name recognition in the community, or does that name recognition need to be in the party?
So it's got to be both.
I just want to
It's got to be both. I mean,
okay.
you can't. That's what I mean. I think as you jump into these larger races, I'll use my dear friend, fellow council member, Kelvin Garcia. If you don't know him, love this man. He is, former DC police officer, a judge now, basketball, football coach, just all around great. His first race was a county-wide run for sheriff. Right? I mean, he had no background on how this whole thing works. So I recruited him. Look, man, you've got a big future. Get on the Herndon Town Council. He won his first time out because it was manageable. He got his name. He got it out there. He was able to make a difference. Now, I'm not going to take away from the fact that he got like 30-some% of the vote in a county-wide. Good job, but your first race, unless you got a ton of money, unless you've got the backing of a lot of people, that's a lost cause. And that's for anyone. That's not just if you're a Latino or a minority. That's just the law of how politics work. And by the way, to the gentleman's second point, to Russell's second question, the reason we keep losing voters is because we seem to be stuck in this institutional thinking. We are not agile enough to refocus, rebrand our message. We stay with the same message, and it's hard for people to adapt. And I say this too as former chair of the Fairfax County Democratic Committee. There are people that have been in the party apparatus 30, 40, 50 years. And this is the way we do things. Well, it's not. Right? New people want to be engaged. They don't want to be part of the social club that is the party. They want to get stuff done. And if you're not giving them tasks and outcomes that they can focus on, they're going to go away because the people that we represent have 2 or 3 jobs and they are worried about real stuff. They're not worried about going to the next fundraiser that's only 30 minutes apart from the first fundraiser. So we need to be less social and more focused on the initiatives that are driving people to vote for us. I hope, Russell, that answered the question.
Oh, it did, and I totally agree. I consider myself to be fairly active in the party, but I am consistently amazed when you, as you just said, rightly so, people have been doing these jobs or positions for 30 years. And no insult intended,
Yeah.
but I have to believe that we need new blood, we need new ideas if we're going to be successful.
So, Maria, you have the mic.
Hi, I'm still relatively new to Fairfax, only here close to 2 years. And I was just wondering if there are any current programs that the party has in terms of like training people to run for office.
Yeah, I think it's kind of on the job training, getting involved with campaigns, getting involved with local electeds, campaign issues. That's how I learned. And I lost my first time out, but I learned so much. I helped other people get elected, and I eventually decided to run on my own. But nothing can prepare you for you're knocking on someone's door and they open the door and they're holstering a gun, right? I mean, that's like the reality in Herndon, right? And just, but knowing how to talk to people and communicating your message, I think that's a natural thing. You got to be passionate about that. But the best way to learn is just get people involved with campaigns. That's how you learn this stuff. And thank you for coming to Fairfax. And I will tell you, Maritza and other folks deserve all the credit, because when I was chair of the Fairfax County Democratic Committee, believe it or not, the party did not want to allow a Latino caucus in the party. Let me say it again. The Fairfax County Democratic Committee voted no on allowing a Latino caucus in the committee. They were cool with, LGBT. That's good. I got that through. I got the Veterans Military's Family Caucus through, but they said no. That's what I mean. There are people that don't get what we do. The optics of what the party does isn't for the people inside the party. We need to recruit and talk to people outside the party to grow the influence.
Well,
Maria, I hope that answered your question.
and another thing too, Cesar, it was that not only they didn't want Latinos to participate, they want Latinos to do the work. Because the first year that I got involved, believe me, I give my 100%. I was a volunteer of the year, but every year I give my 100%, and I was never, never, ever anybody say anything about what I was doing, or if I was ready to be trained to do something else. They just want me in the same spot because that was my only opportunity that I have. And that was sometimes still kind of the case when they just want people to get involved because they want the job to be done, but they don't want to give up the seat that they're taking because it's a name recognition. Even though they're not going to run for office, they want to be the chair. Even though they're not going to run for office, they want to have the title of being the director of so-and-so. So that's important to be involved in the committee, because every year that we reorganize, which is every other year, there's open seats for everybody to run for any seat available, which is what we really need, to have new people involved, have the opportunity to bring new ideas to the table. But in somehow, during more than 10 years, people is being directed about this position is taken and you don't go after another Democrat. Because that was really what they were saying. No matter if they were not doing their job and no matter if they were not making things better, it was like once a Democrat is in that seat, you cannot run for that seat because it's already taken. So here in Mount Vernon, we don't have seats available because they're going to be running probably for 22 years, as Jerry Highland did. And he did a great job, but he was there for 22 years, not allowing new people, new blood to bring more changes, right? So I got my struggles too, because nobody wanted me to run for supervisor, but it was the challenge of giving opportunity to other people to be able to do the same thing. And now I'm always looking for people to join the committee and say, how can they run and how can they take other positions so we can start, changing the initiative of people to be able to run for office. Anybody else? Oh, Marta, please.
Oh, mute. Two things. One, first, Cesar, thank you very much. Your presentation has been very, very enlightening. Two things. One, first, for Maria Villarreal, where is she coming from? Is it Mount Vernon, Fairfax? What is your locality?
Yes, I'm in Mount Vernon, but I'm originally from Houston, Texas, Harris County, and I was really involved in my local Democratic Party there. I served as a presiding judge for elections, running the polling locations, and yeah, was just really, really involved there. And so coming here, just with a lot of different life changes that have been happening, I've slowly been getting into the local politics here.
Okay. So because I go back to what Cesar said, start small. So I see you have a baby. So let's think about what you can do, even if you have to take your baby to the meeting. No, I tell you, I had co-workers when I was a worker. I mean, when I was a worker, yeah, when I was working, that we had meetings because I belong to groups that we advocate for women in the world, and some of my people in my group had to take the children to our meetings, and they were there. I mean, and we were just there. So I'm not saying that you have to do that, but I'm saying I've seen it done. I have also an observation in general that we tend to find reasons why not to. So we need to find ways to yes do. So, but that's for Cesar. I have a question. You say what I hear from you is two things. One is run for office, run small. Got it. I'm not running. I'm too old, really. But what I also heard is we need more bodies. We need more members. And that is something that, at least in Franconia, I am one of the persons working on that. We always are looking for new members, working to recruit new members, to onboard new members, to get them a job right away, because that's the only way that people get involved. So what, Cesar, are your ideas to address that big need of getting new members?
Yeah, I think, there's a couple different ways to address that. And depending on their interests and whether or not they're comfortable in an extroverted or introverted, it depends. Like, I always try to find people to, take a precinct captain role or something at an event, registering voters, maximizing their comfort zone. Because some people aren't comfortable knocking doors. Some people aren't comfortable sitting at a table. So it really depends on the individual. But my fallback is always recruit people to run a precinct or co-captain a precinct, and then let them own it. There's a million different ways to do that role. join one of the ad hoc committees, whether it's like government affairs or one of the LGBTs or the Latino. Just encourage them to get into the structures, find out what brings them out, and then make room for them. I think that's part of our challenge. There are so many people that think this can only be done a certain way, and it limits our ability to recruit new people into new roles. Just make room for them.
Yes, Carla.
Yeah, I wanted to answer to Maria. Maria, my babies were some of Cesar's favorite canvassers.
That's right.
Because I had 3 babies back to back, and we have elections every year, so they didn't get maternity leave. I didn't get maternity leave. But that being said, I'm very respectful now that they're older. I'm very also respectful of family time, and I think that's why it's hard. I want to put it out there. It's hard for Latinos to be more involved in the party if it continues to be in the social club that we need to show up to every single fundraiser. So I want to address Maria, but from a real example, right? I have to choose and manage what I'm going to show up to. Yes, I would want to go to everything because my brain is so political. I want to be everywhere. But Latino families, like we're so close to the household, we're so close to the extended community, not just the political community, that politics competes with that in such a competitive county like Fairfax. Because in other areas of the state, you don't have a different function every single day. You don't have 3 functions competing on a day. So I think that's a challenge that we have for newcomers as well. And I think the leaders, we need to talk about this openly, is how are we going to get new folks to engage if we you start feeling the burnout. Báñate ahorita. See? Yeah. Sorry. It's bedtime and shower times here. And I'll run this quickly. I think hand holding new volunteers, like Russell said, that orientation, and I know Franconia Dems does it. And I know Maritza does it. She calls folks that are interested and that hand holding to get us to understand the process, but understand that every little contributes. You don't have to be everywhere like other people are, but whatever you do is better than staying at home, because you should do it with ownership. Like, contribute the way you want to contribute, and you can contribute. And it doesn't matter if someone has made politics their lifestyle, which in this area it feels like it a lot. Just contribute however you can. And I left my number for you in the chat because I've been the mom of babies in this scene, and because I am trying to make our state caucus be more present in the community, versus like I could spend $5,000 sponsoring a big gala for the party, or I could pay the $500 booth at a Latino festival. And that is how we're shifting our engagement and our focus, at least from the Latino caucus perspective. Entonces, you're welcome to call me and we'll exchange ideas.
Thank you.
Cesar, I cannot thank you enough. This has been a wonderful conversation about the work that you do and how Latinos can get engaged and how we can bring more Latinos to participate. So I hope that we can continue having the conversation with you, give updates, and make sure that we are focusing, training people and have people to run for office.
Perfect. No, thank you for the time, everyone, tonight. Really
You can stay with us. I'm about to go really fast to finish the agenda, and we usually have 30 minutes happy hour after we're done. So, but everybody, it was welcome to stay and join us. So I'm just gonna go to all business, just to talk a little bit about things are happening. Do we know any in all business, I'm going to talk about Marta Calderon and Leonel Rojas, because they are the hard work to create the Great Caucus webpage and getting the social media. And now we have the Facebook, Instagram, the Threads, and even Blue Sky. We always need people to help with content, and we can always, get rid of X, but we are always having a room and space to get anybody being involved and be part of what we do and what we're trying to fight. Any other thing in all business, anybody that I'm missing? Okay, a new business? Do we have any new business that we should consider? Oh, well, here now, our announcements. Well, if you join our bulletin, you can see the different events that are happening in our communities, especially here in Virginia and in DC area. And we can talk about it later about where can we participate and bring more Latinos involved. If anybody has anything else to share, Bob mentioned that on June 14, Bob?
June 14th is, you know, the Flag Day, Army 250th anniversary, and what's his stupid name's birthday. You know, so a lot of organizations are getting active to represent a resistance to what's going on and not let him just slide in there with his military parade. You know, Commander Bone Spurs. So if you can find an event to do that, these are big issues and they affect all of us. Cesar's talking about Latino values, our American values, and they're being challenged tremendously. So if you can be active, I've got a banner drop that I'm going to try to do in Springfield. But just get out there and do some stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention is Sam Rasool's Impact Center. He's in Roanoke, but he helps anybody, anywhere. You should just check that link and just read about it, because they help candidates learn about what it is to run, what you might need to do, the kinds of things you need to be in. And apparently he's helped a good number of folks. So that's a resource. Not the end all be all, but that's a resource.
Well, thank you so much, Bob. And thank you, Cesar. Thank you, everybody that joined us tonight. It was a great meeting. I'll be happy to answer questions. Text me, send me a message, give me a call, and we can start from there. I adjourned this meeting, and if you want to stay for the happy hour, please do so. I'll wait for you to go get some little wine. So we can start.